Good evening. We're going to open the meeting of the City of Walker Planning Commission for November 1. Our second item on the agenda is a review of the meeting minutes for October 18. Now, we got those in the email today, so if you haven't had a chance, we can defer approving the minutes, but if you've had a chance to take a look at it, it looks good, we can go forward on that. Okay.
Motion to accept.
Support.
Okay, we've got a motion by Tyler, supported by Pat, to approve the minutes for October 18, 2023. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is general public comment. We've got one project on the hearing this evening involving the redevelopment of the golf course. So if you've got, there'll be opportunity for, during the public hearing, for people to comment on the project in front of us. Understand there's some concerns about working with the developer on how this has progressed. We're gonna ask the developer to stick around after the meeting's adjourned so we can, you'll have an opportunity to speak with them directly. So with that as an introduction, is anyone that wants to come forward and just provide some general comments at this point? Okay.
Hi, Rob Robinson, 590 Northway Drive. I just wanted to throw a couple concerns your way from ourselves and fellow neighbors in the area of the current status of what's going on over at the Savannah Waterford. One of the biggest concerns right now is the early morning work. There's just passed recently this past week, 4:45 in the morning. They've got street sweepers over there. They're doing some sort of drilling. It's happened even 4 a.m. in recent weeks. I understand they're on crunch time to get this work done, but to wake up the neighborhood next to it, it's not acceptable. Also, too, it's kind of past that now, but the dust control that was not going on during all the excavating in the past couple months, it's horrible. I don't know if anybody has done any study regarding fugitive dust with construction sites and so on, but from what we saw in the neighborhood and so on, there was no kind of control on their part to water the area down and so on. We've got multiple homes filled with dust on the outside, patio furnitures, windows, vehicles, and I know it's gonna get dirty, it's a construction zone. Can't do anything about that, but we didn't see anything going on. So those are our major concerns, the early work and then the dust control, and then if there's other excavating going on, the dust control. So.
Okay, and like I mentioned, we're gonna ask the developer to hang around after the meeting so that they can, you can have a conversation directly with them.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else at this time? Okay, we'll go forward into agenda item case number 23-026. This is a public hearing, as I mentioned, dealing with Waterford Village PUD. And we're going to hand this over to Planning Director Paula Preby to introduce the project. And this evening she'll also be pinch hitting on behalf of our city engineer who is out sick. And so as we go forward, Paula, if you could please take it away.
Thank you, Chair. I will go over a kind of overview of the project that we're discussing tonight, and then try to give some comments on behalf of the engineering team. All right, so this is case 23-026. It is a final area site plan and a preliminary site condominium review for the new parcel at 3485 Lake Michigan Drive. I'm gonna pull up the site plan here. So this is the area that we're looking at tonight. It is proposed for 19 single-family residential lots on existing public roads with public water and sanitary sewer services. And again, there are two components to tonight's review: final area site plan, preliminary site condo. The final area site plan is, so the preliminary area site plan for this project was case 23-875, and it was approved in September of 2021. And there was also a rezoning recommendation at that time, and the rezoning to RPUD 1, which is the district it's zoned today, was approved by the city commission in August of that year. And again, as the chair mentioned, there is other work related to this larger PUD. This phase, the RPUD 2 section is the multifamily section over here that's in active construction at this time. I'm gonna be focusing on tonight's business, which is the 19 single-family lots. And again, I'm happy to also, if I can, answer questions on behalf of the city after the meeting about other things going on in the area. So I'm gonna start with the final area site plan and then move on to the site condo. They kind of go in that order. The motions are in that same order because one of the requirements of a preliminary site condominium approval is that it's part of an approved final area site plan. So I'll go through one, then the other, and we'll do the same. So in the packet, I included the standards for final area site plan review. And as you can see on the plans here, just going to zoom in a little bit. This dark dashed line is the property boundary of this particular component of the project. You can see the lots defined as well. There's a number of different things going on here. So this actually might be more visible here. So there are 19 lots. They're numbered 1 through 19 going around. There are also 2 parks. Savannah Park here between 16 and 17, and Lincoln Park kind of capping this section to the north along Marlborough Street. And running through the middle is a stormwater easement. Again, the lots are here. So you can see some community space, a park, preliminary potential locations for cluster mailboxes, as that's how the Postal Service is doing mailboxes for new developments, is cluster mailboxes. And then here is the other park. There's a few retaining walls already on the site as part of the kind of control as they were grading some of the site, and then the stormwater easement. So there's, again, a lot of lines on here. You can see the lot boundaries. And then there are setback lines, which are the inner hashed lines along the seam of the properties in the middle. There is the storm sewer easement, which is 20 feet, 10 feet on each side of that center line. And then within the setback, otherwise we call it the building envelope, there are kind of boxes which delineate where a house could go. Those are not the houses, it's not all square houses. Those are just markers to show a house will be sited within the building envelope, and it will have a driveway connecting it to the street with the minimum 25-foot required driveway on the property before the garage doors. So that's what we're looking at here as part of this site plan. The applicant met with the Site Plan Review Committee, which is a staff review group, in October, the middle of October, and they were provided feedback on the plans. Most of the staff concerns were addressed at that time. Everything related to public safety, planning, and zoning was addressed at that time. There were 2 engineering components that I will get to. The first is regarding private utility easements. And private utility easements are necessary for private utility companies, such as electricity and cable, to access individual lots. These should be shown on the plans and recorded at this final area site plan stage of the project, so that they are in place when a future builder comes along to the properties to build a home. The private utility easements should be 10 foot wide and run along the property line in the front yard setback area. They're currently already in place on the east side of Waterford Village Drive, and we've spoken with the developer about this. They should be included as well on the west side of Waterford Village Drive and the east side of Lincoln's Lawns Drive. This is a condition of approval. So that's, you can kind of see it there. This hashed line is roughly, those are the property lines, but just inside of that, between the sidewalk and the property in the front yard setback, there should be the private utility easements. The other engineering comment was regarding the minimum building opening table, and that is shown here on the site plan. And this is essentially the lowest point of access into the proposed home. So a standard basement home is now required to have an egress window in the state's updated building code. And there was some concern about some of these standard homes having an MBO that is too low and could potentially allow water to come into the house or doesn't align with where the egress window would be. And so I know the engineering team at the city has met with the applicant's engineer, and I received yesterday an updated version of this table, which has a note here. So there's one note. That note is unchanged, I believe, but there are a few additional notes. One is that the window well treatments for standard foundations with egress windows will be raised a minimum of 6 inches above grade at foundation elevations. And a second note that grading inside and rear yards be pitched away from the foundation. And so that was one of the compromises to help work with that, to ensure that the standard homes, which have a fully enclosed basement, must have an egress window, but that egress window also is protected from water coming in. And so as one of the conditions of approval, it's recommended that the Planning Commission allow staff to continue to work with their engineer to, if that note is sufficient or if other changes need to be made, that can be handled as part of the stormwater review process. Another thing to note about this site plan is regarding PUD benefits. If you'll bear with me a moment, there's a particular page that I was hoping to go to. Okay, we will just stay here for now. That's okay. I'm so sorry. All right, here you can see this one has the square footages on the lots. The project as a PUD, they can request PUD benefits. Those identified on sheet C21.0 are as follows. Lots 6 through 15 are 11,837 square feet, and lot 17 is 10,575 square feet in area. The minimum lot size for a single-family home in the SA district, which is the base district this PUD district calls back to, these lots are smaller than that minimum for a single-family lot. The lots 6 through 15 are 43 square feet smaller than the standard lot, which is 0.4% smaller. Lot 17, which is here, the one next to Savannah Park, there's that very large tree that they retained there and a few smaller trees. That lot is proposed to be 1,305 square feet smaller than the standard lot, which is 11% smaller. I compared these smaller and larger lot sizes to existing lots in the Lincoln Lawns neighborhood, which has lots of varying sizes with some of the curvilinear streets. You get some smaller lots, some wider lots, some kind of shaped lots with angled edges. And there's some very similar. There are many the size of lot 17 or many smaller. So in my review, that is in alignment with the character of the surrounding neighborhood. Staff is comfortable with that PUD benefit, but it might be something the Planning Commission wants to discuss further. Those were all of my comments about the site plan review portion of this. Are there any comments of that before I go into the site condominium review?
Commissioners, any questions? Excuse me. Commissioners, any questions for Paul at this point? No, I think you're doing a good job of touching upon the planning issues as well as the city engineer, so thank you.
You're welcome. All right, moving forward at the site condominium, there are I've been going between two different plan sets. We have the standard site plan review plan set that we see very often at the Planning Commission. This set is a little different, has slightly different information on it. There's a chapter in the zoning ordinance that governs site condominium projects. And staff reviewed these plans. The condominium plans meet both the requirements of our zoning ordinance and the Michigan Condominium Act in terms of required elements and review. Another component of this is a master deed and condominium bylaws. Those then get sent to the city attorney for their review and comment. I received feedback today from the city attorney, and he said that there are no comments on the master deed for this Waterford Village project. So everything looks good there. They do a thorough review. They were reviewing 2 for me. The other one has a lot of comments. So in this regard, I'm confident with that portion moving forward. Further, an association called the Waterford Village Condominium Association will be made up of all co-owners within the condominium, and that shall administer, operate, manage, and maintain the project. So that is how some of those components are handled within the site condominium review project. The process for this is similar to what you may think of for a rezoning. The Planning Commission holds the public hearing and makes a recommendation to the City Commission, who reviews and does one reading, one final review, and the City Commission will approve the preliminary site condominium review, and then a final one comes back for a staff review, is how that process works. So that is really all of my comments. I believe about both the FASP and the site condominium, and again, just to reiterate, after the public hearing and discussion, there are 2 sample motions provided. They need to be taken in order because the second one refers to the first one. Happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Board members? Pat?
Yeah, Paula, who's gonna own this condominium section? Is it gonna be the Waterford Village, or just looking at the maintenance of these down the road?
That's an excellent question, and reminds me of something else I meant to mention. So the developer that brought this project here today is the same developer for the larger PUD, the folks working on the multi-family section. This section, they're getting through the site condominium establishment, and then the lots are being sold, and the applicant is here. I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm mistaken in any of this, to a builder, a local builder, who will then buy the lots and build homes. I don't know if those are planned to be spec homes or do they already have potential, buyers lined up. And that is Cucci Builders, local. They do great work in town. And so in this case, the actual building will be done by someone separate from the applicant. And once the lots are established as individual lots, they can then be sold. Right now, it's all one. Within like the park spaces, which I'm told will be open to the public, the maintenance of those common area spaces will be overseen and owned by the condo association and maintained by the condo association.
So I understand there's gonna be one builder doing the whole project.
That's what I was told.
That's Cucci Builders, is that what you're telling? Okay,
Yes.
Okay, so it gives us some continuity to it, isn't, okay. Thank you.
As a follow-up to Pat's question, so as each individual lot is built, sidewalk is put on the frontage. But you've got 2 outlots here that have frontage on the street. When will those sidewalks be put into place?
Some of those are actually in place already. They were put in as part of doing the road, and it's noted on the site plan that the sidewalk will come in as a home is established, and if within 5 years no home has been built, the developer is required to come back and finish the sidewalk, so it is one connected sidewalk network.
Okay, all right. All right, if there's no other questions for Paula, this is an opportunity now for the developer to come forward. Please give us your name and address, and any comments you want to offer with regard to the site condo plan as well as the final area site plan.
Hello. Yep. Anthony Rodriguez, Vice President of Stoneleigh Companies, 760 West Main Street in Barrington, Illinois. Paula, thank you very much. Commissioners, that was a great, overlay of kind of what the proposal is here today. I don't have really much to touch on as far as the site plan goes. I think a good job was explained as far as kind of what we're proposing here. The only thing I want to just add is, just to give you an update, we sold the northern 49, what we call 49 lots. It's just raw land right now. Gucci is the developer for that as well. So there will be the continuity of him purchasing the 19 lots as well as already purchased the 49 lots. So our goal here, hopefully following approval, is to kind of close on the 19 by year end, for him to get going on the roadway and utilities as far as the 19 lots goes. He's eager to get in. He's kind of relayed a little information as far as what type of homes will be built. Their average range, 1,400 ranch-style homes to 1,800 two-story homes. Not sure on the architectural component of it, but that will all be reviewed with the with the building department, amongst other things that we've kind of conditioned as far as the approval. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I know there may be some questions like you discussed about the overall project, and I'm happy to stick around after, hand out business cards and, direct contact information, and just kind of go over that. We're probably not a forum for this right now, so here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
The lots 6 to 15 and 17 are non-conforming lots. How deep are lots 6 through 15, do you know?
How deep they are as far as the grade
No, how deep, how many feet deep are they?
for the basements?
No, the length of the lot.
Oh, there's a stand at the 100 and, is that 110?
Well,
90-foot lots.
I'm a little disturbed that we're going to give him non-conforming lots when he could move each lot line by 6 inches and achieve the square footage for 6 to 15.
Well, we have the utility easements as well in the rear yards.
Hey, Tyler, well, I was thinking the same thing, but I was thinking, we all love a park, but steal a little bit of those parks and get,
That's what I was thinking, move everything to the east
yeah.
a little bit. It has to be this much per lot.
So I think the only thing with Savannah Park is just the trees we wanted to save.
Save the trees, I got it, yep.
I know that was,
No, seriously.
no, I know that was a big thing. If you've kind of drove by, you can kind of
He's
see,
the neighbor, so I'll go by what he says.
you can kind of see how we've kind of cleaned up that tree area. So there is standing trees within Savannah Park on the western portion of it.
Okay.
That, I understand, now I understand what you're.
Lot 17 bothers me because it's 1,305 square feet. That's a 36 by 36 square foot shortage. And lot 18 is 2,000 square feet over. There's no way to even them out a little bit. I'm just thinking lot 17 is going to be quite squashed. And that's my comments.
We could definitely look at it from an engineering's perspective as far as, utility layout and just kind of where that's at.
Okay, I'm just pointing that out. It's just.
No, you bring a good point. We try to adhere to the minimum standards, we're constrained so much within the boundary lines that.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't see many issues. It's going forward as expected, so.
Out of curiosity, the parks, is it just gonna be open space, or do you have something planned for those spots?
So we don't personally, I'm not sure what the eventual builder will, but they will be public parks. That's stated exactly on the plan sets. So there is the potential that they will have, open walking areas or benches. I'm not sure on actual playgrounds or anything of that nature. But they will be public.
Paula?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I had one comment, and I thought that Anthony might be able to help us. So, because we have a bunch of neighbors here, I wanted to point out about the utility connections. And this sheet is very messy, but when Waterford Village Drive was put in, utility stubs were put in for all of the future lots along Waterford Village Drive on that side.
That's correct.
Those don't currently exist along Lincoln Lawns Drive. So
correct.
once the builder owns the property, one of the first things they will do is go in and put in the utility connections for each future lot. And that will require some work on Lincoln Lawns Drive, and then they will be required to resurface that portion of Lincoln Lawns Drive that they will be accessing. And so I just wanted to clarify
That is
that
correct.
with the developer, for the board and for the neighbors, that work will be done in that area. They have to do it all in a row kind of sequentially down and then redo it all at once. So it won't be piecemeal as houses come in, all of the utility stubs will go in, the road will be fixed.
Right. And a building permit, as we've discussed, won't be issued until that's been completed. So it'll all be at one time.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, any other, Steve?
Just for, and this is just my 2 cents on the lot size stuff. I think it is easy to remedy, right? I think we look at it and it seems like that can be addressed. I'm not super partial either way. My house is on a lot smaller than the smallest ones. I think it can be fine, but I also think it's like an easy problem to solve. My question is on and you kind of bled into it a little bit in that the 49 lots to the north on the project are going into the same ownership. Are they also expecting to be condos? And if that's the case, is the expectation that they will become part of the same association?
I don't have that information, but I don't believe they will be part of the same association.
Okay. But it's still, you think that it's probably
Yeah,
condo
because
project as
we've
well?
worked with the home builder as far as, this layout goes. He's had his comments, we've addressed all this. So we've kind of gone down that process based on his feedback and kind of what he wants to pursue.
Okay.
This is based on a preliminary conversation that I had with the builder. They'd expressed interest in platting the other section, and they do platting regularly. They'll be bringing another plat to you in December for a different area, and so it's very likely that might go a separate direction from this association.
Yeah, and that 49 lots kind of acts as its own. So the 19 under, the condo association will kind of do the same.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions for the developer at this point? This is advertised as a public hearing, and so entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Steve, supported by Joe, to open the public hearing. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Again, this is an opportunity relative to these 19 single-family lots and the park area that's been discussed here, for you to offer any comments for or against, or just commenting on that. Please come forward, give them your name and address, and then we can listen to what you have to say. Okay, that being the case, entertain a
I
motion.
make a motion to close the public hearing.
Support.
Okay, motion by Tyler, supported by Pat, to close the public hearing. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And again, as we mentioned in the opening comments, and it was confirmed by the developer, he will stick around. So as you've got questions, a gentleman came forward, identified a couple of issues already. And there'll be that opportunity at the end of this meeting to get together with the developer and get some one-on-one conversation with him on concerns that you may have. So our business at this point is to focus in on the 19 lots and the 2 open space areas. We've had some conversation about the relative size, the deviations they're looking for. Good detail with regard to the public water and sewer connections that will have to be done on Lincoln Longs Drive, so that you as residents in the area, there'll be some road work there, but it'll be finished off. I think it indicates at least a 2-inch finish coat of asphalt on that once that work is complete, and then they get on to the business of building the homes.
Paula, lot 17 was how much percentage smaller?
Lot 17 is 11% smaller.
You think you can adjust that somewhat? I don't know how
When,
to- yeah, yeah, okay, I understand.
If it helps, Todd, when I was reviewing it, when I looked at if it would be possible to shift them between the three, between where the tree is and then the property boundary to the south, in order to have them as close as possible to meet the width at the street, which they're supposed to have 90 feet, there's not really a ton of room. You'd be giving that to get the lot size, in terms of lot
Yeah, it'd be
frontage.
creating
Yeah, I mean,
Different nonconformities.
non-conforming like that.
could you not like just adjust the angle of the lot lines though?
Yes, probably.
Or you could have 18 lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Isn't this fun?
so, all right, so, so again, see, the first item we're dealing with is
The final area site plan.
final area site plan. So everybody's on board with it being single-family homes, that's consistent with the master, with, and condominium. Yep. And, we've had some conversation about the relative size of some of them. They, as part of the ordinance process, there's allowance for what's called deviations, so that there is allowance for considering smaller sizes. And that's why we're talking about that, to see whether or not that, that deviation is a reasonable one being, proposed by the developer.
I guess I would say lot 6 to 15 leaves a little bit more of an open space on the end, so I'm not, 6 inches on a lot isn't gonna make a huge difference, but when you add them together, I'm okay with 6 to 15, I'm not okay with 17, and I would recommend that they get within 5% of the lot, the standard lot size.
Can I ask Tyler why that's such a sticking point for you right now? Just because I just don't know myself.
It just is, when you look at, I would spend a lot of time looking at the things, it's just squished in there. Yeah. And it's just, you don't have a lot of side yard, you don't have a lot of side yard on either side. It's not within the limits, but you just don't have it, and that would bother me. But if you guys say, hey, it's no big, if everybody here says, hey, it's no big deal, I'll leave it out.
I don't have a problem making the adjustment. I think it's a reasonable consideration to say if you can get within 5% that, and I just see how you can, like looking at it, you see how you can get there.
It's
So
gotta be just a couple adjustments.
yeah, again, if you angle those lines instead of angling them that way, put them vertical on the sheet, you pick up probably the amount of space you need to get there. So yeah, I think that is a reasonable target, right? Unless there's significant objection. Are you looking for general feedback?
Yes.
Sorry, I just kind of cut into the conversation and like went after it. General, I think this pretty much reflects what we've talked about for the project, right? We're putting single family units, condos, will be owned properties against the existing single family neighborhood. So I think it aligns to the direction that we've talked about going. I will say, my obligation as the representative from the city commission, we have heard the concerns regarding the construction and the schedule and the process. I feel that we've had some discussions with the developers at stages of the process about that. So I think that's really becoming something that's a concern for us. So to my message to the developers, please, if we can make sure that we're abiding by that reasonable timeline of operations and respecting the neighbors that are adjacent to the project, that's going to go a long way for us. And as we continue to work through the project, there are a lot of phases yet to go. That's going to be really important to us. So as far as this project, this proposal, what we see on paper here, I think it's reflective of what we've talked about and what we plan to approve. So I'm there.
I agree with Steve. Good comments.
Yep, I agree that this was all planned and everything. One of the concerns that I just was thinking about was, the road access to this. if we start making these condominiums next summer, and we're finishing up the apartments, I mean, we don't have a light there yet, and we don't have the Lincoln Lawns drive out to Lake Michigan Drive the way we want it. So I just want to make sure we're not creating a great big mess in there that people can't get out. So that's my concern. I know Scott's not here, but that'd be my concern to make sure we have some of those things wrapped up before these condominiums get started or completed.
I can speak to that a little bit as well. I believe the developer can speak to that. There was a progress meeting this afternoon with the engineering and DPW departments of the city, the developer, and the subcontractors on the site. So the public road acceptance to make Waterford Village Drive a fully accepted City of Walker public road is coming to the city commission at their next meeting. And so that's November 13, I believe. And so hopefully at that time, that will become a full public road. The signal has been delayed a few times. And so there will be a stop sign that goes up temporarily until this traffic signal can be installed. And I believe they're expecting that in December of this year. And once it comes in, it will go up very quickly. So we're just waiting on all of the components. The latest issue was they didn't have the right paint. They couldn't get the right paint. So they're waiting on the paint to finish supply chains are still a little bit wonky. So that's the update. I attended a special meeting so that in lieu of Scott being here, if these questions came up, I would have answers. So
Thank you.
What about the Lincoln Lawns connection to Lake Michigan Drive, the reroute? Is that?
I will defer to the developer on that one. I do know that they have to finish their phase 1 of the public infrastructure and then move on to phase 2, but he can give more timing on when that will happen.
Yeah, so the phase 2 has been approved. So right now, as Paula mentioned, we're finishing up phase 1, which is still a little bit of the water and sewer. But that should be done here in the next month and a half. The goal is to move over into phase 2 and start that work as soon as possible. So with the traffic signal going in, we've already kind of worked with staff as far as a way for rerouting when that construction on Lincoln Lawns is taking place. Things won't be going on all at the same time, just, in observance for the residents and access in and out. So we will be cognizant of that, and we've already worked with staff on kind of a plan as far as a reroute. So, but that light going in December will be a huge component of driving traffic that way.
You're having periodic meetings with staff to kind of bring them up to date on the schedules.
That's correct.
Is there a way to post that so that residents of the area would be able to check on that periodically to see what the schedule is?
Those are working meetings. I'm not sure that at this time that they're open to anyone attending, but it's in terms of like an update on scheduling and kind of getting more information out, there's definitely something we can do working with the city's communications manager to give the interested neighbors more regular updates on what's happening and what's expected.
I sense that would be a good way to go so that anybody in that area would have access to it, and perhaps if there's one or two people that are part of the neighborhood that could act as a main point of contact, that may be another thing, and that may be something, as you talk with a developer afterwards, that you could discuss on how that might work. But I sense that the more information the neighbors have as far as what's going on and what's going to happen next, will probably put some people at least more at ease in knowing what the timetable might be.
Just building on that point, and I would say in addition to what's already been discussed, there probably is a conversation for us to have at the city level about setting up maybe some sub-pages within the website about major projects that impact road infrastructure, right? Because it's one of the things that we hear about a lot, again, this is me talking from the city commission standpoint, but If there are road projects impacting traffic movement, maybe there's, on our community development page, a set of subpages that are major projects like this, and we can put some of that timeline information on there for folks so that they know where to go.
There's precedent for that. There's currently a subpage for the traffic work being done at Kinney and Remembrance that we could use as a template to get more information out. Particular, those traffic ones
Yeah.
are very important.
And then for neighbors, that could be a good opportunity to say, okay, I know what project is happening near me, and you can go to that as a resource as well.
Okay. All right, Pat, did you have any other comments to offer?
Nope, I'm all set.
Scott?
I don't really have much to add. I agree, with Steve and others. I think it's a, good project for the area, and I'm generally in favor of it. I don't really have anything else additional.
Thank you. Dan?
I'm in favor.
Okay.
End of story.
All right, thanks. And Mark? All right, and likewise, I think that the direction on this is very good as far as what needs to be done and what's being planned. But that information about what's going on before and after, I think the more that's communicated, that'll be helpful as well. So at this point, are we in a position for someone to offer a motion with regard to the final area site plan?
Mr. Chair, I'll offer a motion for case number 23-026A, final area site plan review for 3485 Lake Michigan Drive Northwest. Based on the application material provided, I make a motion to approve the final area site plan for new residential development featuring 19 single-family condominium lots on existing public road with public water and sanitary sewer facilities at 3585 Lake Michigan Drive Northwest, subject to the following conditions and based on the findings of fact noted below. Conditions. Number one, the applicant shall work with city staff to resolve the minimum building opening concerns through the stormwater permit review process. Number two, public utility easements are recorded in copies provided the Community Development Department prior to the issuance of building or stormwater permits. Number three, lot 17 will be adjusted to be within 5% of the minimum lot size for SAA district. Findings of fact, the PUD as described in the final area site plan meets the standards contained in subsection 3G of this section and shall meet any other applicable standards for review. Number two, the final area site plan is in substantial compliance with the previously approved preliminary site plan consisting of the maps and accompanying written materials required under section 2 of this section. Number three, the applicant has made provisions satisfactory to the Planning Commission to ensure that those open space areas shown on the plan for use by the public or by residents of the development will be or have been irrevocably committed for that purpose. Number four, the PUD does comply with the uses permit by the PUD district and any prohibitions of specific uses by the Planning Commission pursuant to sections 94-213 3J.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Steve. So moved by Tyler, supported by Steve to conditionally approve the final area site plan for this project. If there's no questions, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The next item deals with the site condominium review. Do we have someone, okay, as far as issues go, are there any issues distinct of, that we need to talk about? The minimum opening, I think, seems to be an important one, and the recommendation from staff is to allow staff to work with the project engineer to work that through. It's an important one. It's a safety one to avoid flooding within the basement areas into the homes. But it sounds like staff has a good recommendation on how to resolve on that. Are there any other issues associated with the site condo that's otherwise a concern?
Nope, I would have raised the flag of if they were looking to include the other 49 as a part of the additional condo development, but I think that with that being separate, seems pretty reasonably set.
Okay. that's the case, do we have someone offering a motion?
I can. For case 23-026B, based on the application material provided, I make a motion to forward recommendation to the City Commission for approval of the preliminary site condominium plan for a new residential development featuring 19 single-family condominium lots on existing public road with public water and sanitary sewer facilities at 3485 Lake Michigan Drive Northwest, subject to the following conditions and based on the findings of fact noted below. Conditions of preliminary site condominium plan recommendation. The applicant shall work with city staff to resolve the minimum building opening concerns through the stormwater permit review process. Public utility easements are recorded and copies provided to the Community Development Department prior to the issuance of building or stormwater permits. A recorded copy of the master deed and condominium bylaws as reviewed and approved by the city attorney shall be provided to the Community Development Department prior to the issuance of any building permits. I don't think that we have to include the other condition in this because that's an FASP thing. Findings of fact. The proposed site condominium development meets the requirements contained in Article 11 of the Walker zoning ordinance. The condominium plan as presented is found adequate in regards to the proposed common elements and maintenance provisions, use and occupancy restrictions, utility systems, public and private streets, and project layout and design. The type of lots and proposed uses within the condominium development are compatible with the existing development in the area and with future developments as outlined in the master plan. The proposed condominium development is part of an approved final area site plan and fulfills the requirements of section 94-2137E.
Okay, we have a motion, is there support?
Support.
Okay, any questions on the motion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Anything quickly or just briefly on what's upcoming?
Of course. So our next meeting will be a large joint meeting. It will be hosted at the regular planning commission time. Also invited are the city commissioners, zoning board of appeals members, and Standale Development District members to review the full draft of the zoning ordinance rewrite. That'll be at that meeting, and then in December that will come for the formal public hearing to the planning commission. So that is our next upcoming meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion, support, adjourn?
Yep, support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Now this would be an opportunity to have